So how's your E3 going, everyone? Naomi Cal here with IGN's E3 Live Show. If you have any comments you'd like to share, follow at IGN on Twitter and send us a tweet with the hashtag E3. Right now, we're going to show you the action-packed sequel of Darksiders that's called Darksiders 2. Makes sense. Take it away, guys.
Thanks, Naomi. I'm really excited for this one because I was a big fan of the first Darksiders, so I've been waiting for the sequel for a while. Thanks for bringing it by today.
Fantastic. We're really glad to be here.
What are we seeing right here?
So Hayden here, the lead designer, he's taking Death here on his start of his journey in Darksiders 2.
This is right at the very beginning of the game.
This is the very beginning of the game. This is where the story sets off. He's basically here to see the Crowfather. Now the Crowfather is a keeper of secrets, and he wants to find out why exactly his brother War, was accused of setting about the apocalypse in the first game. So this is like a link toward the first game. So one of the things you'll notice straight away is that we've got the horse going immediately. At the beginning of the game, you get the horse. Get the adventuring going immediately. This is different from Darksiders 1. And you can see right now he's going to come up against a bunch of skeletons. So your first combat encounter is Darksiders 2. And immediately you can see that Death is a lot more agile. Hayden's having to use a lot more evading. And he's obviously racking up his count combos to eliminate these skeletons.
Why did you want to go with a new protagonist, a new character?
It really kind of made sense in some ways for the lore and the story. Death we consider to be like the older brother of all the horsemen, and he has a special bond with War, and he seems to make the most sense to go ahead and actually be the guy who was for the vehicle of Darksiders 2. Also, he's just super badass. I mean, Death. When you think of horsemen, you think of Death, but think of War. And some of the things that we wanted to do with his abilities really made more sense for the sequel. War was a straightforward kind of like character which we could take and do a great action game with. And with Death, we can take those abilities and really get into some much more deeper combat, deeper adventuring. So he's just going to do like his first kind of war run, and this is again flowing into like the abilities and his agility that he can do. We'll be slowly teaching the character at this first early stages of how to kind of like loop some of his traversal elements.
Yeah, I saw some loot going on there.
Yeah, actually that was earlier on. So
very exciting.
He's grabbing loot is good. Everybody likes loot.
Yes.
So he's kind of stowing that away for later use. And here's actually going to like the skill tree and some of the elements that he's picking up. So one of the loot, he's got a heavy weapon. This is a secondary weapon he can use. And some of the weapons you'll pick up, you might not be able to use immediately because you haven't leveled up. We have a leveling up system too. And with that leveling up system, you also, it's dependent on what skills and stuff you can buy as well when you pick up a lot of your loot and your bits and pieces.
So it looks like you have a lot of abilities right off the bat.
You will actually. I mean, it depends on what level you're at, of course. And then with that level obviously comes, the rest of the abilities and buffs that you'll get. Some of those you can put onto the radial dial and for quick access, and some of them will be just stuff that buffs you. Here he's actually taking on a few more skeletons, and again you'll see him using the secondary weapon. He's going to pick up some health there, which is going to be useful later on. And obviously you saw the B prompt there, which is very useful when you start getting overcome by a lot of enemies at some point later in the game, and you're going to start fending off against a lot of different things. So that was the radial dial there. And what he just did there was he hot plugged one of the health there, so you can have quick access later on. So you're going to have to do a lot with a lot of your main abilities and your gear. You have to have quick access for that, and that's up to you to tailor. So he's going into the next area here.
We're trying to save our brother War right now, right?
The idea is to redeem. Yeah, he's basically on this quest to find out about why was War persecuted by the Charred Council for creating the apocalypse. And I mean, he's gonna come across through his quest throughout a whole bunch of different levels. We have like 4 major realms, and he's gonna come across a lot of NPCs, and it's gonna take him on a journey where he's gonna discover far more sinister things going on. This is more than just the apocalypse, more than just War being accused of setting about the false apocalypse. So here's Hayden's dispatching another one of the skeletons there with great ease. Again, you see agility, he's racking up the combos. And it's the same with like the heavy weapons as well, melee weapons also. They all kind of serve a certain purpose in combat. You're going to find a lot of different types of ways of traversal, which we're going to string together, chain in different ways. Like this is the vine climb,
Right.
and it's going to really test the player's ability to sort of get around.
The first game took place on a post-apocalyptic Earth. Where are we here? Where's this?
So a lot of this game takes place in the Abyss, which is where worlds go to die. So it's a lot more fantasy orientated. I mean, it made sense for the first game to really be set up on Earth, since the apocalypse is associated with the Earth. So we wanted to push more of the fantasy element, and this is what basically we're about anyway. So you really get to see some fantasy realms here.
Glad to see this giant boss. That was one of the coolest things about the first game, was the giant monsters that you fought.
So like this is one of the first kind of, I guess he's kind of like a brute or like an elite kind of guy. So he's not really technically a mini boss.
Sure.
And this is really where your agility is going to come into play as well. Just sort of like evading, coming in for attacks, really kind of timing your stuff. So yeah, this is going to be a real test. This is a case of for you putting together all the stuff you just learned while you're fighting the skeletons. So mixing it with heavy weapons, combos, evading, timing.
You mentioned more of a fantasy setting. It looks like you sort of tweaked the art style as well a little bit.
Well, basically, we had like some fantastic characters which we did in Darksiders 1 and Darksiders 2. This is no different. We've got Joe Mad as the creative director, so it was important for us to actually make sure the environment fit the characters also. So that was like a fantastic Reaper kill right at the end. You'll be seeing more of the Reaper later on as you obviously level up, and as you spend your skill points, you'll be able to use Reaper form on a much more like a longer basis. And he's pretty much invincible. He's like a very powerful, and deal out a lot of punishment to the enemies. So there's like a lot much more of a leveling system up there. So he's actually making up his journey, and the Crowfile is kind of aware of this is going on, so he knows death's coming. So it's an interesting point of the journey. So
you're usually not good when death is coming for you.
Yeah, when he's coming, you better get out of the way. So this is where you're probably going to find out a lot of key parts of the story. In this beginning part, it's really going to set the scene. It's going to really tell you what you're going to be doing throughout the game. So we've kind of tried to get the style into the environments, as you can see, be faithful to the characters and the environments in the kind of like Joe Mad style we've kind of started off. So some more interesting kind of ways of traversing. We've got to call this wall bounce. A lot of different opportunities, and it might, the way might not be immediately clear, but there is a path to get to different places. You can really kind of get to see the epic nature of some of the environments here. You can see that he's traversing here. Again, stringing some of the ways that you're getting across the environments.
Now, all the loot that you pick up, can you sell excess loot?
Well, the loot, yeah, you can do a lot of things with it, to be honest. You can access it, you can actually, there's even we have things called possessed weapons, and loot that perhaps you don't want to use, you can feed it into it and actually make that more powerful.
Cool.
So that's going to be a very exciting thing to do. So even if you have loot that basically isn't as powerful as stuff you already have, it's always useful ultimately. So you really get the sense of the fact that this guy is pretty agile, and his fighting style is relatively different, even his combat to War's. I mean, War was very much a brute force, so, and this guy is like all about kind of agile and tactics. So.
We're just about out of time, but Darksiders 2 is looking really
fantastic.
Good. It's
awesome.
Scheduled for August, right?
That's right. August 14th, we're going to be seeing that come out on the Xbox 360, PS3, and PC.
Very cool.
And if you get the pre-order, there's a couple of nice things there too. So.
Pro tip.
Okay.
Thanks so much for bringing the game by.
Okay, fantastic. Thank you.
Back to you, Naomi.
Well, thanks a lot, everyone. Totally would not want to mess with death. Coming up next, we have a block of exclusive Microsoft games, namely Forza Horizon, Fable the Journey, Halo freaking 4, and the newly announced Gears of War game, and Dance Central 3. But don't fret, PlayStation fans, we'll be doing a block of Sony games later. Check the schedule on e3.ign.com and youtube.com/e3 for more details.